Welcome to Lex's World. So something on my mind this week is this whole debate that's been raging in the news lately about legal cannabis prices. Is legal, regulated weed cheaper or more expensive than black market? We're likely to hear way more about this debate as the legal weed scenario starts to roll out in several new jurisdictions. This debate is important. After all, if legal weed is more expensive, then less people will support the idea of legalization. Here's the other thing about this debate. It's settled. I first did a video about legal marijuana prices in mid-2014 on my old domain website, before we knew whether regulated cannabis would get more or less expensive as time went on. When the first recreational use stores opened in January 2014 in Colorado, customers were alarmed at the cost of an eighth or a quarter. You had some weed going for 50 to 100% more than at the same time on the black market in Denver. Now, this stirred up the crowd who believed that with regulated weed we will end up paying too much and the government will also gouge us on taxes. My view in early 2014 was that this was a glass half empty prediction that ignored both history and economics. The reason legal weed cost so much in 2014 in Denver was several market factors that were combining to increase prices. Number one, there was a limited number of legal retail stores, hence limited competition. Number two, the retailers that did exist had a limited number of legal growers for supply, who were all in their infancy and charged top dollar per pound that they grew as a result. Number three, both retailers and growers were dealing with nervous government regulators who weren't used to the marijuana business, and they knew that they were under scrutiny by every single other regulator watching it unfold. And number four, on the other side of the supply-demand equation, demand for legal product in Colorado was insane. People were coming in from surrounding states. It was all way more than what this small legal industry could provide in 2014. Combine these four factors and you could see why there was a bottleneck in supply and high prices. But what all these factors had in common is that they were temporary. The only thing that was permanent was the taxes. High final sales prices persisted through 2014 and did not show signs of dropping until after I discussed the topic last. When I visited Denver in April of 2015, I found that prices were no longer super expensive, but were still a little more than the black market. In stores, 3.5 grams was down to about $35 or $40. In fact, the prices felt fair considering how much heavy regulation the industry was under. I created an episode about that trip that you can find a link to in the description, by the way. But since then, man, what a difference another year and a half can make. When I visited in April 2014, the wholesale price to a dispensary of a pound of cannabis was about $2,400. As of last month in 2016, it's closer to $1,400. This will obviously have an impact on the end user price. So how far will prices drop as the supply and demand balance? Well, when the growers become huge and when retailers become established, prices will drop hard. As I predicted in 2014, I would still like to see a world where a pound costs way below $500 wholesale. There are some people in the industry who have argued that if you grow cannabis right, even if it's regulated, the simple ability to grow it legally in a large-scale, highly automated system can make the growing cost drop to way below $50 a pound. If that's the cost to grow a pound, it should keep the price very reasonable for the consumer. The price of seeds will also drop. We're already seeing that happen. Cheap seeds available widely online will ensure that if legal weed prices don't drop fast enough, the market will prop itself up on the backs of cottage growers and auto-correct the situation. Info on cheap seeds online always in the description as well. Remember, the goal is not to replace the black market with a more expensive legal market. No one is sitting around plotting that. Even as far as the government is concerned, the goal is to outmaneuver the black market and corner it out of business. That requires reasonable prices. I maintain that any scheme that allows for legal, personal use growing as part of the setup can function. We're seeing the same pattern that unfolded after alcohol prohibition. In a couple more decades, legal weed will be plentiful, high quality, with tons of variety, and very cheap. That's the show for the day. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to subscribe and hit that like button. See you next time.